Hey guys, Krell Cooper here with OnTheBlack.com, here with a little Mets news and a quick Q&A. First, the Mets news. As most of you guys know, the Mets have been eliminated from playoff contention for 2009. And I guess what adds a little insult to injury is that Pedro Martinez was the guy that eliminated the Mets with an 8 innings, 6-hit performance, shutout performance against the Mets Sunday evening, officially closing the door here for the Mets for their playoff contention for 2009. So, the guy that the Mets didn't want to re-sign, the guy that everybody didn't think had anything left in the tank, ended up pitching outstanding game against the Mets Sunday night. Again, 8 innings, 6 hits, no earned runs. Mets are eliminated from the playoffs. Also in Met news, it's been reported Lenny Dykstra, who's fell upon some tough financial times here, is putting a lot of his memorabilia up for sale. And one of the things that he's putting up for sale, reported by Fan House, is his 1986 World Series championship ring. I think the bidding started at $7,500, but I'm sure it's going to go up from there. So unfortunately, Dykstra falling upon hard times. He was one of my favorite players from that 86 team, putting his World Series ring up for sale. Now it's time for a Q&A. Tonight's question comes from NY Sportsman 2, and his question is, what are your thoughts on the Mets getting Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez this offseason? So let's take one at a time. First, Adrian Gonzalez, first baseman for the San Diego Padres. His contract currently 4 years, $9.5 million. He's signed through 2010, and the team has a club option for 2011. So first, Gonzalez, one of the needs that I think that the Mets need to fill in the offseason is at first base. So Gonzalez, being a power-hitting first baseman, does in a way fill that need. The problem is he's under contract for next season, and then the Padres have an option on him for 2011. So in order to get him, the Mets are going to have to give up something. We all know that, if teams are going to trade with the Mets, they're going to want some of their young players. And the Mets have shown here that they are not willing to give up any of their young players here in some of these trades. They had a chance to get Victor Martinez before the trade deadline. They didn't do that, and that was probably either because they didn't want to give up any young talent, or they just were out of it and didn't feel the need to bring him in. So, while I think Gonzalez fits a need for the Mets at first base, I doubt that the Mets will get him because they would have to trade to get him. Next question, the second half of this question, Carl Crawford. Thoughts on getting Carl Crawford in the offseason. Crawford, of course, is left fielder for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's in the last year of his contract. It was 4 years for $15.25 million. But Tampa Bay does have a club option on Crawford this year. Now, some think that maybe Tampa Bay won't exercise that option. I think if the Rays don't exercise that option, that's pretty silly. Crawford's a great player. The Rays are one season removed from going to the World Series, and if they are really serious about competing every year, they will keep Crawford. Now, if they don't keep Crawford, he is definitely a player I would like to see the Mets get. He fills another need for the Mets, which is left field. He'll also add some speed to that lineup. The Mets play in a huge park in Citi Field, so speed is something that they need to add more of to their team, offensively and defensively, because he can track down balls out there. So I would love to see the Mets get Carl Crawford if the Rays don't exercise that option on him. The only downside to Crawford is I think the Mets do need some power in this lineup. They need to fill the lineup with someone that's going to hit some home runs for next season, and that's not the type of player Crawford is. So if they do get Crawford, you'd want to see them get a power-hitting first baseman. But Crawford, would love to see him in a Mets uniform next year, but the Rays do have an option, so we'll have to wait and see whether or not they extend that option. And that's it for today's post, guys. Let me know what you think. Talk to you soon.